This car is what, about $1 million?
It's like mid ones, yeah.
Mid ones. You like that, Zuckerman?
Just easy going about it. It's like mid ones. Like no big deal.
I had it in track mode, which is what, 700 horsepower?
Track mode is more like a little over 800 horsepower.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Here we are, Spike's Car Radio. Very exciting to be here. You'll notice in the Johnny seat, we have someone different. Peter Nam from Gunther Werks.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, sir.
you.
Look at that, some applause.
Honored to be here.
He's honored.
Is it really an honor? Why is it an honor?
Well, I think I'm the least famous person in this chair.
Wow.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I don't think so. Not to the car community. You're very famous in our world. And right behind you, you can see we have one of your cars here. Normally, I would drive it, which I did, and just come talk about it myself. But I asked you to come on because I thought you could really go into detail about the company. And I have a lot of questions about the company.
Okay.
About Gunther Werks. First of all, this is one of these cars, like on the west side of LA, Zuckerman, that everybody seems to know.
Yeah.
Like just every time you're stopped, someone's like, yeah. Gunther Werks. And I'm always surprised by that. I'm always surprised. You have so many fans.
Rabid fans.
Yeah.
And these cars are, for me, a lot, different than Singer, right? They're in that same category. This car is what, about $1 million? 993 based?
It's like mid ones, yeah.
Mid ones. You like that, Zuckerman?
I like when a guy is like just easy going about it. It's like mid ones. Like no big deal.
But it occupies its own territory. First of all, it's a 993 base 911. Mm-hmm. And secondly, and most importantly, it's really a tight racing package that you can put a license plate on, right? Mm-hmm. Was that always your philosophy?
Yeah, the philosophy was not to take a street car and try to make it like a track car. We essentially built a race car and then made it somehow drivable on the street. So it's the other way around.
Somehow drivable, Zuckerman. You need to wrap your kidneys for this thing. It is the tightest street legal car I've ever driven.
I've been afraid to drive this car. I've always, I've looked at this, and there's two reasons I'm afraid. One is that it's going to be a little bit, maybe a little bit harsh. But two, I'm going to want it. I don't want to want this car.
Yeah.
Because as Mr. Nam just said, it's like mid ones.
Yeah.
Just like that, like mid ones. Like everything's just mid ones.
He's going to take us through it in a minute, but I want to know just a couple of things. What inspired you to start this company?
Well, I have another business that is actually now our 25th anniversary called Vorsteiner. So I worked on modifying and tuning a lot of the latest modern cars. And somewhere around 8-10 years ago, these cars, they started becoming too digital, too heavy. Mm-hmm. And they became faster, but they became boring to drive. It was very, very uninspiring to drive these cars, even though they were fast.
Preach. I'm going to say preach. Yeah, this is so true. It's so true. It's what I've been saying for years. Yeah.
There's just a computer filament that, is, a layer between you and the car, and you don't feel connected to the car. The driving enjoyment is not there. You have to go over 100 miles an hour to really feel anything.
Right.
And that's what inspired me to say, hey, why don't we take an analog air-cooled car, which is the 993, the last air-cooled car, and let's try and inject technology into the car where it drives and performs like a modern car, but has all of the emotional engagement and the driving feel of the old analog cars that we like. So you get best of both worlds. You get the old analog feel, but you get the performance of a modern car. So it's essentially like having your cake and eating it too.
This is very, very, very articulate description of what he's done.
Yes.
And I think this is part of the secret to Gunther Werks is that Peter can articulate his mission so well. That's a very apt description. There's been so many people have tried to do what you're doing, can't articulate it. Well, they can't execute it, but they can't even articulate it well.
Right. Is it true the name for the company came from a Tom Hanks movie?
Well, it's inspired by Gunther Werks, the German engineer, astronaut, who's German engineer and is in California. And he was the last guy that everybody saw before they went to the moon because of his German engineering and his precision, but he was also based out of California.
How long has how long has that guy been on your radar? Is that what you were going to ask?
I'm thinking, is that a real person or was that really Werner von Braun?
It's an actual person.
It's an actual person.
It's a real guy. And how did you know about him? Why was this guy on your radar? Because arguably you can go in a lot of different directions with the name of this company.
Right.
I like what you ended up with, and I think it's an amazing choice. What were the other options that you had?
So I had maybe 200.
The Nomsters?
I don't think I could sell cars with the word Namster or Namworks. I don't think anybody would be buying these cars, unfortunately.
Come on, there must have been a second choice. Was there?
There was several hundred choices, but the problem is when I go through and develop a new company and I go through the naming process, where I get stuck typically, even though I come up with all these brilliant names, is I get stuck in the .com. So you have to go on GoDaddy and make sure that name is available on the .com version. And then now these days you also have to check the social media handles.
Right.
So
was there a second choice that you liked?
I don't remember anymore, honestly. It's been several years.
I don't either. He doesn't want to say it.
He's saving it for the next company.
Well, let me ask you this. When you were young, what were the cars that inspired you when you saw them?
Actually, the first car that inspired me was Knight Rider. I thought that was the coolest car ever.
Really?
So yeah, that's how I fell in love with cars.
Wow. That's really your taproot car or the first car you saw? Not really your taproot, but the first car you saw where you went, I think I'm a car guy. It was Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Wow.
Were you one of the 70s?
Yes.
And what was it about that car that you liked?
Well, it was on the TV show, and it was just all computerized, and I love black cars, and it was a fantasy. And
right.
That's when I first discovered, when I was like maybe 5 or 6, watching that show, that I discovered, I think I'm a car guy. So, yeah.
Were you a Hasselhoff guy?
I liked him too.
Yeah. Okay.
He's okay.
He's who he is.
And then as you got older and you started seeing real cars on the road, what were those cars that really grabbed your attention?
I would say my first car was a BMW Z3, and that's where I started with a manual transmission.
Right.
So BMW is where I fell in love with cars, and then it graduated into Porsche.
And what were those early Porsches that you liked?
It was definitely a 993. So when I was growing up, the 993 was the hot car back then, and everyone that had a 993 was like, "Hey, you made it! You know, you're driving a 993." Yeah. So that was the car that was always aspirational for me. My dad almost bought one, but my mom stopped him.
Mom's always the wrecker.
No, this is good. This is the origin story.
Yes.
Had she not stopped him, we may not have that. Yes, it created desire, Zuckerman.
Right.
And that's it. That was just the 993 after that. You had to have it. Had you had the money and the success back then in the 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, what would have been that 993 that you would have wanted? Would it have been the turbo, or would it have been a C2S?
It would have been just a regular C2, probably.
A C2 or an RS, 993 RS?
Right.
That looks a lot like you.
Yeah, I'm more of an RS guy for sure.
That would have been it. Wow. That's interesting, isn't it, Zuckerman?
Yeah.
That growing up moment, that car you always want,
right.
that's where he lands. And now he's
and here we are.
And we're doing these. All right. Why don't we let me do an ad real quick, and then we'll break the cameras off and you can give us a tour of the latest Gunther Werks Turbo. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world, if they're still around in a week. I'm not sure about that. And with April 15th fast approaching, it's more aggressive than ever. In 2025, enforcement is ramped up, and if you owe back taxes or unfiled returns, waiting is not an option. The longer you do, the worse it gets. Ignoring your tax troubles is the worst thing you can do. April 15th marks another tax year that has passed you by. Getting ahead of this now is a smart move. I always get anxiety when I read this.
I know, this is a terrifying ad.
But never contact the IRS alone, Zuckerman. Instead, let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you. Why? Because not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS, meaning they know exactly which agents to deal with and which to avoid. You know who to avoid, right?
All of them?
Keith. You want to avoid Keith at the IRS.
Yes.
With proven strategies to settle tax problems in your favor, whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of their strategists today. It's free. Stop the threatening letters. Stop looking over your shoulder. This is terrifying. The tax man. And protect yourself from property seizures and bank levies. Oof. Don't let the IRS control your future. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/bike911. April 15th is just around the corner, Zuckerman. Act now before the IRS acts first. How unpleasant are those money conversations?
That is a terrible ad.
Well, I like these are the guys that come and fix it. Yeah. But it puts us in that we got to pay our taxes. Yeah. We always call each other in tax time and go, this is painful.
I've projected into the future, and now it's doomed. I'm sitting here, but I'm doomed. Did the ad copy change? The last time it was our geniuses.
They're geniuses.
They're no longer geniuses.
They thought
They're
that
experts.
was very funny. Yeah, but I think they made an adjustment. They're Porsche guys, and I think the guy who visited us, the guy who runs it, and he's a McLaren guy. Yeah, he was here in the hangar last week.
Really? Can he save me my taxes? Can I pay less than zero?
Of course.
Can I get money back?
He knows who to call.
He knows exactly who to call.
Yes.
And it's not Keith.
It's not Keith. All right, Peter, take us through this gorgeous car of yours that I drove in 405 traffic and twice caught air. You know the jumps on the 405, Zuckerman?
Absolutely.
No lie, I caught air twice. I had it in track mode, which is what, 700 horsepower?
So yeah, track mode is more like, it starts with the number 8 actually instead of the 7.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it's a little over 800 horsepower.
So is comfort mode 600?
Comfort mode is more like, 550, 600.
Sport mode?
Sport is more like 750, and then track is over 800.
Yeah. Okay,
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's insane.
This is very exciting.
It's absolutely insanely fast. Like no end. You know that GT2 RS feeling?
Yeah.
Just no end to the amount of power, and all the power is going to those back wheels, right? Or is this an all-wheel drive car?
Yeah, it's a 2-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yet it's not unstable.
So you can see from the front end that a lot of the design challenges that we had was trying to feed as much air into these turbos because the turbos get so hot. And the challenge was that because it's based on a 993, the packaging was almost next to impossible to try and fit all of the cooling system, the induction system, the turbos, all under the body of a 993 was one of the biggest challenges we had. But we designed everything around the cooling. So we first figured out what is the cooling that the car needs to be able to perform so that the car does not overheat. And then based on that, we would mark the different areas around the car that required the most cooling. So you see that front bumper has a very, very tall intake.
Yeah.
With the oil coolers. And then you have a duct above that also feeds to the oil cooler. So a lot of ducting work there, and then you see the S duct on the top of the hood, which has a radiator. It's not only there for downforce, but to exit out hot air from the radiator.
Get over the top of it, Cameron, so they can see how it ducts down here. Look at this.
Am I correct in saying that the trunk lid has been modified, that it's further back than on a stock car?
Yeah, it hasn't been modified. It's the same. But when you do open it, unfortunately, you've lost the frunk, much like a GT3 RS, because we have so much things we're packaging into that front area now. You do lose that frunk, and there is like a small compartment that you can maybe put your toiletries or something. It's not very big.
Well, you have a glove.
Yes.
I got 4 bags of groceries in it. I got my tennis bag in it. It was all good.
Yeah.
You know, those of you who are noticing it's really low in the front, it's got a nice little lift button right on the steering wheel. When you press it, everything jumps up so you can get in and out of your neighborhood or bad streets or divots that are all over the place here in LA.
It's so well executed.
It's so beautiful. You can open the door and look at these seats. Now, Zuckerman, you think Porsche sports seats are stiff. Look at those things. Pure ass racing seats. Like, it feels, the whole package, when you're tied into this thing, you feel like you're part of the car.
Are these seats at all like the 993 buckets that you would get in an RS?
No, absolutely nothing like that.
Nothing like them at all. Yeah.
We actually try to make the carbon buckets ergonomically perform for the track for lateral movement.
Yeah.
But we also spend a lot of time making them as comfortable as possible. So the feedback we actually got from a lot of our clients is that they love driving this in the seat because they said they can go on long trips and it's actually very, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. It is a fixed bucket, so it does not recline, but we had spent over 2 years designing the ergonomics of the seat to make sure that it was not an uncomfortable seat to drive in.
You have no lateral movement up or down. You're strapped into this thing, and the second you sit in it, you know you're in for a different experience from the moment you sit down.
And then you can see there on the headrest, there's a little loop. Pull that loop and take the handle out, the headrest. So you can remove that, and then there's an Alcantara pad there. So when you're driving, you have more race helmet clearance. And then it magnetically connects right back to the seat. So
that's so clever. Cool.
Very smart.
And you also put a lot of thought into the iPhone holder, which I also appreciated.
Right.
Right in front of the stick shift here. Look at the exposed gearing right there. Look at that.
Yeah, that was 1 year of engineering to make that phone holder. Because,
really?
What a lot of manufacturers don't do these days is they do make a phone charger or a phone holder in the cars, on the modern cars, but they make the assumption that you're not going to put a phone case on it. And if you look at the statistics, more than 90% of people have phone cases, right? So
of course,
what we did is we took the biggest iPhone and bought 30 different cases from Amazon and tried every single combination of phone cases.
Wow.
Where we didn't want to make the slot too big where it's wobbling around, but also at the same time, it would fit comfortably with a case. And then we also did track testing where we wanted to make sure that when you're accelerating, the phone does not fly out. So
wow. And it's one of those little touches that makes you love this car. Well, it makes you absolutely love it. And when you put it in, it has that same, I'm sure in technology and electronics, you talk about these experiences, but when you have the right kind of wireless charger for your phone and it sits just right in that charger, it feels good for some reason. And when you put your iPhone in this thing, it feels like it completes the car for a second. Now I have this little bit of information that I might want to use while I'm driving this car. And it's just easy for me to grab the phone at a light and then put it back. But it's one of those little details that makes you really love the car.
Right. Something that everybody uses all the time when they're inside the car. So
it's so important. It's so important. Like people have come down on me before, why no Apple CarPlay and why no the rest of it? And you're right. You can still enjoy a car like that. But when you have it, when they go the extra mile, when you do little things like this, it makes you love a brand because it makes me feel like you're thinking about me and how I drive. Look at the exposed gearing there under the stick shift.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's an exposed gearing. So that's the story behind that is when we were making the turbo, I walked into the engineering room and one of my engineers had the exposed shift gear linkage on his table. And I said, what is this? He said, this is for the new gearbox of the turbo. And I said, oh my God, this looks so cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a shift boot on this thing. So we decided to make all the parts out of titanium and exotic metals and do really nice finishing. So it looks like a skeleton watch where you can see the insides of the gearing, and it's really cool. And we added a carbon fiber bezel around there, like a little tub. So it protects the gearbox, but it's a unique piece, and it kind of shows off that mechanical analog air-cooled, gear shift system.
It's absolutely beautiful.
There were two 993 weak points on a 993 dash that you seem to have gotten right. One is the ashtray closing, and the other one is the glove box on 993s. They tend to not close right and have a perfect shut line. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you had to deal with that with the 993s, that the glove boxes don't want to shut right after 30 years. Have you ever noticed that? Or that's another thing that I'm fixated on.
Yeah, that's a common theme.
Yeah.
You have the same thing on older BMWs. Yeah. Because the latch system, it starts wearing out and then they don't shut all the way. So you have a gap on there, which drives me crazy.
Right. So okay, you too.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Is it new parts or did you reconstruct the system?
We reinforce the parts and we use new parts to make sure that we have a clean shut line. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. Forget about the iPhone. The 964s or the 993s that don't have an even shut on the glove compartment. Right. It drives me nuts.
Yeah. There you go.
And how beautiful that is.
I wanted the viewers and the listeners to kind of hear and see the car. So before we started the show today, I did some pass-bys outside. Let's take a look at those. And we have a very populated unhoused community out here who cheered me on, Zuckerman.
Really?
Yes. As I raced down the street, they loved this car. I was making a lot of noise, as you can see, and they cheered me, and that felt all right.
Next time, let's distribute Gunther Werks, little Gunther Werks placards for them to hold up.
It was fun. Well, the car is great, Peter. I appreciate you letting me drive it. There's one other car I've saw on your site that looks like almost like a Porsche Mexico Blue with white wheels. What is that car?
That's our latest car. It's called the GWR. So it's going back to naturally aspirated, and it's a 4-cam twin valve motor, making over 500 horsepower, naturally aspirated. Ooh. Our lightest car yet.
Wow. Yeah. And when are we going to start seeing those on the road?
Those will be in a few months. You're going to see the press car. So I'll probably bring it back here for you guys to find it.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm dying to drive these things. And how do people buy these things?
Yeah, I was going to ask about the lease option.
Yeah. What's the deal? Like, are you sold out for years, or do you how many can you make a year? And
so we do have a wait list of I think over 4 years at this point.
Wow.
And most of the clients would reach out to us, and we would typically go through an application process and qualify the clients. Just because you're financially qualified, it does not mean that we would give an allocation. And we also are very strategic about where we place these cars. We don't want a high concentration of the cars in one area.
Right.
So we try to disperse them throughout the country and also throughout the globe.
Everything is thought of with this guy. Everything.
Yes.
Okay, so now,
who doesn't get a car is my question. I want to know who doesn't get a car.
I think anyone that has a history of flipping cars, we would definitely disqualify.
Oh, yeah. So that's right. It's not really personality based. It's they might take it and then sell it.
There are some personalities too.
And what are the personalities?
No,
they won't do that.
Nobody's
personality
listening.
Traits. What are you saying? Like what are some things that disqualify you?
We like clients that are benevolent and are successful, but are nice people to deal with. We don't manufacture thousands of cars a year, right? So we only can produce 25 to 36 cars a year or so. We have to work with these clients intimately when we're building these cars, all the way from the paint, the development, and the options. And it's a 1.5-year relationship that we have with the clients.
Right.
And
you want that to be
if we can
pleasant.
help it, we would like to deal with people that we enjoy dealing with.
Yeah.
No assholes.
Life is too short. Right.
Life is too short.
Many companies have been started on that principle.
The NA principle.
Yes.
No
For
assholes.
real.
NA principle.
For real. Life is too short principle.
Let me ask you some direct questions. If I want to buy, let's say you accept me, okay, I'm assuming there's a down payment, and then is it monthly payments or balloon payments or at the end payment? How does that work?
So typically when you do
the money,
let me hear about the money.
When you do get accepted for an allocation, you would get an allocation deposit to hold that allocation, and then once the car goes into production. So we would receive your donor car, and then we start stage 1, because there's essentially 4 stages in the development of the car, the production of the car. So after it reaches the first stage, we would start collecting stage payments. So there are about 4 stage payments before the final delivery.
There you go.
Sounds like a lot.
You have it. Peter, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
It's exciting to have you here. Thanks for letting me drive the car. We have more Spikes Car Radio coming after this. Over 2 decades ago, RaceDeck was invented, a cost-effective, durable, and truly do-it-yourself modular flooring system engineered for the garage. RaceDeck's multi-patented design allows for easy do-it-yourself installation with no hassles and no toxic epoxy coatings, transforming your garage, my garage, Zuckerman's Garage in just hours and not days. 20 styles to choose from. Vehicle rolling loads it can handle in excess of 80,000 pounds. Will not chip, peel, or stain. 33 patents with the product line. Lots of styles. You go on the site. Look, we're on the site right now. Look, that kind of looks like the Gunther Werks color, doesn't it?
Yep.
And there it is. You know, you can have a classic floor like that. When I was at the Long Beach Grand Prix, RaceDeck, that's the one I have on the right, but not in neon. And it has transformed my hangar and made it usable. And I've said it many times. The tiles I had before were cheap Amazon tiles. And every time you would start a car, even the old Land Rover Series 2A, the tires would kick the tiles up and they'd go everywhere. Jorgen, who founded this company, RaceDeck, said, I can fix that. And he did. And everything works now. I love RaceDeck. We love you. They manufacture 24/7. Most orders get shipped in 48 hours. And trust me, guys, this will transform your garage. You will then do the rest of the work in your garage like Zuckerman did. You paint it, you put up your cabinets, you block off that weird water heater. And above all, don't let your wife store stuff in your garage after RaceDeck.
Wreckers.
Go to racedeck.com. Happy Valentine's Day. Go to racedeck.com and use code SPIKE911. You'll get 15% off and free shipping. 15% off and free shipping at racedeck.com. We thank RaceDeck for being our sponsor. You know, Mark, who takes care of this space, which is your space,
yes,
your car space, did a great job. He's really excited about the show being here, and he and I are working behind. He works all the time on making life better. I sent him clips from the show with the flies, and he said, I think it's the fruit. You said the same thing. So he got rid of all the fruit, but still we have some residual flies. I was working this problem from several different angles. And one of the things I bought was the bug zapper. We had it last week, but I didn't have an extension cord. But I just want to... There's like 3 flies left in here, and I keep seeing them around. Let's just see if this solves that problem.
This is very summertime Long Island.
It's nice, right?
Right. Mosquitoes being zapped while you're outside having Michelob and a cig.
At some point, we're going to have some very big stars here. See, look, right there. But see, there's a little fly right there. You see him? You can look. And then at one point, we were talking about Gunther Werks Turbo, and you had a fly in your head, and you didn't notice.
You know,
you were just sitting there.
You know, I've decided to make peace with them. Eventually, I will be covered in flies.
Did you, seriously though, did you lose feeling? Did you not know it was crawling on your head?
I didn't know it was there. Would you always know a fly is there? Where was it?
It was right on the top of your head.
I don't feel there.
You get no feelings?
I have no feeling up there.
I've always suspected as much.
Yes.
Anyway, that was fun. Peter was fun. It was nice to have him here. Were you seriously thinking about buying one of those cars?
How could you not?
You're like buying everything that comes through here.
I'm just a sucker. I'm an addict for cars. and I see the thing, and when normally, and he's the first guy that I would trust to do this, because you know my position, which is that making a better Porsche than Porsche is a conceit.
Yes.
Okay. A guy, a hopped up race guy in the San Fernando Valley can't really do it. He'll make a Frankenstein car. I've had one of those.
You're right. Yeah.
And Singer is a thing unto itself. I'll reserve. I think it's stood the test of time. But generally speaking, guys modifying Porsches do not get it right.
Right.
When I listen to this guy,
think about that. But hold on. Think about that trajectory. There were the hot rodders.
Yeah.
And then the guys in the R group said, we can do it better.
Right.
So they took the best of the hot rodders and started our group pay, however they pronounce it, to pay. Then those cars weren't good. And then you've got the Singers, the Gunther Werks. So we can take this whole idea to the next level because, like you're saying, anytime a car was hot rodded, or what do we call those cars? Not our group cars. There was another name for these Porsches. Outlaws. Exactly. The Outlaws, like the original Emery Outlaws.
Right.
Rod's another example of this. Rod Emery. The guys who know how to do it. But the guys who didn't, they would outlaw these cars, and then the value would just be nothing.
Yes.
Then you go, we put $300,000 into this 911.
It's worth 50.
And it's worth, 50, which is below what a preservation example is. These guys step into the arena. Rod Emery. Gunther Werks, Singer, and
John Will Hoyt can make
Ward.
a beautiful
who's doing it with 4x4s, and they get it right, and the values go in the other direction. It's kind of a genius evolution there.
Well, what I see, and there's a commonality if I take a look at Rob Dickinson or Rod Emery or the guy from Ward, Jonathan Ward.
Yeah.
Obsessive compulsive. Yeah. Peter Nam clearly is an obsessive compulsive.
Yeah. Lots of folks sent me this story on the drive. Jeep owners say pop-up ads for extended warranties keep blocking their touch screens. Look at this.
It's unbelievable.
This is a new phenomena. Part of, and I love my country, don't get me wrong, but one of the things I don't really like about my country is the amount of advertising come hithers that we get in 1 minute in this world. Yep. It's everywhere. Every video, every billboard, every inch
gas of station,
every inch of society. The gas station pump is just trying to sell us shit. And even if you try to ignore it, your brain still has to make a quick decision. Do I want that? Do I not want that? Which is why advertising works. But the car has always been a sacred place for that. Unless you're listening to the radio, you can turn all of it off. Now look, Jeep, and by the way, Porsche, this is going on in our ST. There are little notifications. I hit one the other day. It says, do you want free Apple Music?
Invasion of privacy.
I was so angry.
It's so bad.
I don't want to pay for a thing that is then trying to sell more ads to me. Don't you agree that this is a place that these companies should not go?
Absolutely. It's offensive. It's absolutely offensive. And it goes back to when BMW was trying to sell heated seats, remember?
Yeah.
You needed a subscription.
Yeah, subscriptions.
So further monetizing something like this.
This is like strippers. Oh. It really is.
This is strippers.
Everything must be monetized. How do we squeeze? The stripper is trying to squeeze the money out of the client. As much as we go to the champagne room. How about this dance? How about that? Keep paying for the drinks, right?
I'm respecting this angle,
But this is the actual angle that these car companies are using. They're sitting down, they're having a meeting going, where else can we get money out of this clown?
They are pimps and the car is now your hooker.
So Peter, I don't know what you just said, but I'm agreeing without even hearing it. He's going, why don't I make a little place for the phone but Jeep is going, why don't we sell shit to these people?
It's a constant lap dance.
This is Stellantis again, 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
That we've got a Stellantis story doing this. And my friends at Porsche too, you got to stop this flirtation, man. Don't go down this road. This is not something we want in these cars. You got to stay out of it. And the subscription stuff is the same. Stay away. You're better than that. You got enough money.
You're better than that.
You are. Here's another story, Zuckerman. Guess what country? Here's a quiz. You ready?
Okay.
Where has the best-selling car is the 911. In what country is the best-selling car of all cars the Porsche 911? Do you know which one?
I'm going to guess Russia.
Incorrect. Andorra. Here it is.
Andorra's not a country.
Tiny European country that borders France and Spain. Okay. It's the 16th smallest, before you go into Lieberman territory, it is the 16th smallest country by landmass, covering 181 square miles. I'm trying to help you. The population is 80,000 people.
I know exactly where Andorra is.
Yeah, but you were saying it's not a country. It is a country.
Well, it is a country, but it's really a tax haven is what it is. It's where you go. It is like a duty-free country. So I'm telling you, those Andorrans are not keeping the cars. They're going into Spain or France.
The banking, insurance, and other aspects of the financial market among the country's major industries. They said that a lot more eloquent than you. The result is a tiny country with a wealthy population. And here's the graphic of cars. Their best-selling car right there, beating Mercedes finally. I guess Mercedes was last year. The Porsche 911 followed up by the Toyota Yaris.
Okay, but look at the numbers.
But wait. Look, that's right. To be number one, you have to only sell 83 Porsche 911s.
Oh, so I take everything back I said about it being a tax haven. If they're doing these statistics, 83 out of a country of 80,000 people, yeah, it's a lot per capita.
The Porsche Cayenne is number 3. The Porsche Macan, I just like that it's a whole country, even if it's a tiny country. I don't mind. Google a picture of Andorra so we can see what the place looks like.
It's like a little carbuncle between Spain and France.
Look at it. It looks really nice.
It does, doesn't it?
Look,
That's what you think. There are people you think this looks really nice. You go there. I'm not going there.
If it's all Porsche 911 fans, I might. But show me another picture of the village where I'm going to live. Oh, look at this. They haven't oversaturated the color in that photo.
We have a friend who lived in Andorra.
What's that?
We have a friend who lived in Andorra.
Who's that?
Moise.
Oh, really?
Yes, when he was ejected from Morocco, they first settled in Andorra.
Wow. Did he have a Porsche then?
He had never seen a car up until then.
This looks like a nice place to live. Porsche delivered just 210 models to become the #1 mark in Andorra. That to me seems like an opportunity for advertising, right?
For Porsche or for Andorra?
Some yodeling.
They don't yodel there. Why don't we go there?
For Porsche to do a commercial. Try to stay with the idea here.
I'm lost.
Little things that highlight the brand are opportunities for advertising. Like next year you could do a Super Bowl commercial in Andorra with the people of Andorra. What are they called? The Andorrans? The Andorrans?
The Andors.
The Andors yodeling in Lederhausen.
Every Andor.
Driving their Porsches. We all love Porsches so much.
What are you? We're and we're or.
But the only other story that caught my eye that I thought would really is made for you, Zuckerman. In China, Tesla is suing drivers who complain about their cars after accidents and winning. And this woman's name, I can't pronounce. It's a woman. Zhang Yazhu was sitting in the passenger seat of her Tesla Model 3 when she heard her father's panicked voice. The brakes don't work. Approaching a red light, her father swerved around 2 cars before plowing into an SUV and a sedan, crashing into a large concrete barrier. The stunned woman gazed at the deflated airbag in front of her. She could never have imagined what was to come. Tesla sued her for defamation for complaining publicly about the car's brakes, and then Tesla won the equivalent of $23,000 in damages. How does that make you feel as a personal injury lawyer?
Okay, it's so offensive. It's so heavy-handed. It is so unbelievable. And Elon Musk can talk all he wants about free speech, but do as I say, not as I do.
Do you think that's coming here? That idea that you get in an accident in a car and then I don't know where she complained, social media, or she accurately reported the brakes weren't working.
I don't know what the laws are in China, but I don't think it would be successful here. But it is an offensive pattern of conduct at that company.
And she was forced to publicly apologize for criticizing the brakes that allegedly failed to work.
What a disgusting course of conduct. It's just disgusting. It's reprehensible.
Look, I'd like to stop talking about Tesla, but they're in the news every 5 minutes. Also, the Cybertruck is now more explosive than the Ford Pinto, actually. That's another interesting turn for that thing. Do you still have your Cybertruck?
I never had a Cybertruck. It's my partner, John Carpenter. He drives his, and he still has all of the rainbow wrap on it.
Oh, that's fun. And so he's not getting attacked. Because lots of people in California are getting attacked for driving that.
Well, I don't think with a rainbow wrap you're going to get attacked. I think
that's the one protection.
It's the one protection. It's like, Passover, lamb's blood over the door of the Jews' houses, and then you don't get attacked.
I get it.
So he's immunized himself.
He's immunized himself. What an interesting way to do it. Well, when it comes to managing your money, technology today has made it easier than ever to place trades on your phone and be your own portfolio manager, Zuckerman. While this has reduced the need for investment managers, you still need financial advice, and Scholar Financial Advising is an independent, hourly, flat-fee financial advisory firm that provides financial strategy and advice without having you handing over your accounts. No more sales commissions or 1% asset management fees. I like that. Scholar works with you to create a personalized financial plan for a flat fee and then works with you on an hourly rate, just like your CPA or attorney, for all financial questions, overall strategy, and second opinions. Because you never do trust those people, right? You think they're just making trades because they want to keep taking commissions, right?
It's called account churning. They're churning your account.
They will answer those daunting finance questions like, how much should I be saving for retirement? When can I retire? When can I retire?
Never.
Never, right? I'm never retired.
I can be your financial advisor.
How do I create a tax-efficient portfolio? How much should I be saving for my kids in college? Should I pay for a house with a bigger garage? Yes. The answer is yes. Go to Scholar Financial, not just because they know money, They're also Porsche guys. All the Porsche people who have businesses are on this show. Visit scholarfinancialadvising.com/spike911 to sign up for a completely free, no obligation call to see whether independent hourly financial advice makes sense for your portfolio. Scholar Financial Advising is a paying sponsor of Spike's Car Radio, and investing involves risk. You can read more about the risks of investing and conflicts of interest in the show notes. I have to read all that. Very important.
Very important.
SEC. If they're still there at this point when the show comes out.
There might be a building.
What's that?
There might be a building.
Yes.
Could be empty.
That's right. Out of all the insanity that is happening, if they did abolish the IRS,
I wouldn't cry.
I wouldn't cry. But that's the only thing.
Yeah. For those guys.
I can hear my wife yelling at me in my head. What about the roads? All right, it's time to do Dear Zuckerman, and I have a new graphic for you right up there. There it is.
Oh my God. Why do I have lipstick on? Why do I have lipstick?
These are real Dear Abby letters, but instead, Zuckerman is going to answer them.
With my lipstick.
Well, that's the real Dear Abby's outfit and dress and lipstick, I think. And I think they just put your head on it. But we like that.
You do.
Is it too much?
Oh, I don't think it's too much at all. It's not too much.
We didn't do the earring, but I guess they did have time to do lipstick.
They had time for lipstick. This is, yes.
All right, you haven't seen any of these letters.
I hope not.
You haven't? No,
I don't think so.
You have to attest.
Okay, I'm attesting.
Okay, I want everybody to know these are off the top of your head. And Zuckerman's going to give the person who wrote the letter some real advice.
Okay.
Abby went left. You're going to go right.
I'm going south.
Dear Zuckerman, my mom and stepdad, Hugh, are divorcing after 20 years. You're already laughing at Hugh's name. I always know it's going to make you laugh. Did you just take a Valium? What'd you just take?
No, mint. I'm going to relax with a mint in my mouth.
Okay. Mom has been involved with scammers for the last 2 years, giving away money and her social security number. I no longer talk to her because of this. She actually expected me to drive her places to meet these men and lend them her money. But my stepdad, Hugh, and I started talking a lot about things involving my mom. We text each other morning and night. The problem is my husband is saying my relationship with Hugh is weird and inappropriate. He believes Hugh and I are attracted to each other. I told Hugh how my husband feels, and now I feel bad about this whole situation. Zuckerman, your thoughts would be greatly appreciated.
Take up with you. I mean, this is... Okay, she doesn't deny she's attracted to Hugh. You would think somewhere in this letter that there would be a denial of this Hugh business.
And she went from, my husband thinks we're attracted to each other, so I went to talk to Hugh about how my husband feels.
Right. So there's a lot of confessions happening in this letter, and clearly... And she doesn't talk to her mom anymore. And that's another. Her mom clearly has dementia and needs an intervention. And needs
You're
to
doing
go
a
somewhere.
diagnosis from here?
When your mother starts giving away money to scammers, and that's a sign.
It is?
Yes. When you start to become, fodder for scam artists, it's a frontal lobe problem.
And what part of the home would she live in?
You would put her with the memory people.
There you go. If you're on the subreddit for Spike's Car Radio, the memory people, there's a drinking game now. And if we talk about certain things, you got to take a shot.
Take a shot, hurt your memory, hasten your decline to being a memory person yourself. So when people start to lose their judgment, it's a sign of dementia. And frequently, the child, the daughter, will then try to intervene, get some medical help, get help from a neurologist, maybe work. But she's abandoned her mother, and now her stepfather Hugh is divorcing her mother. She doesn't talk to her mother. She talks to you morning and night.
I don't think these people are looking for real advice, Zuckerman. They just want your pure, unfiltered Zuckerman
Well, I'll
take.
tell you something.
And I think you just gave it, which is
they're taking up with each other.
They're dating each other.
Yeah, because when you say good morning and good night with somebody, usually that's a sign of some attraction.
Go. That's
good
the insight I was looking for.
And good night.
All right, letter number 2. Dear Zuckerman, last year I gave my dad a cool flashlight for his birthday. It was rechargeable and had a feature that made it work as a lantern. I know the ones. I like flashlights. I have a bunch of flashlights.
How could this be a letter?
He seemed excited about it and later told me again that he'd been using it. This week for my birthday, my dad gave me the flashlight back as a gift. Not only that, he went on about how thoughtful it was that he found this unusual gadget for me. He kept asking if I liked it. I said yes, I thought it was cool, which is the reason I gave it to him last year as a gift. He didn't seem to understand what I was saying and repeatedly asked me to tell him how much I appreciated the gift. Zuckerman, what is happening?
He needs to be with lady number one.
Where?
The first letter.
In what part of the nursing home?
Yes, with the memory people.
There you go. Drink again.
More dementia. This is dementia. Your father has lost his marbles. He's lost his mind.
I think so.
Clearly.
Yes.
This is not a letter that you write. This is look it squarely in the face. Your father is not well.
Take him in the neurologist right now. Right.
Yep.
Wow, you're good.
You know, they give you these in the neurology office. They have these mimeographed copies. It really looks like it's photocopied. Right. And they have little objects. They have a clock.
Yeah.
They have a flag.
Yes.
They have a mailbox. They have a street sign that says stop. And then they ask, there's a little line underneath. Describe what you see here. And then someone like that's going to, for the stop sign, is going to put, it's a mailbox.
Yes.
and that's the sign. When the clock becomes a stop sign, the stop sign becomes a mailbox, and the mailbox is a flag. And you know, and if you ever read some of these answers that people put down, it's shocking.
Wow.
And
well, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I forget my keys or lose them somewhere, I think I'm gone.
Well,
it's over.
I'm not going to deny that.
But I think that's all just my basic insecurities and worry about everything.
I don't know. Some of the ad reads today would give
those will be edited. You'll never know.
Yeah, I understand. I saw it though.
Yeah,
gives rise to concern for you.
You think so?
A little bit.
Yeah. Dear Zuckerman, one of my neighbors has a garage that is so packed with belongings that they park their car outside. Unfortunately, the car has an extremely sensitive alarm system that goes off multiple times during the night for 20 seconds and then stops. You have a fly on your head, dementia man.
This is my car alarm. I'm like the car alarm guy.
You don't even notice that you have flies on your head.
He doesn't notice the alarm. Yeah.
I have witnessed it being triggered by their cat jumping on the car. Zuckerman, what's the most respectful way to address this issue with the family, given that we've had limited interaction with them?
Your neighbor's clearly lost his mind too. This is 3 letters in a row, and we're dealing with people who have mental illness.
What would you really do? Throw oranges at the car? How would you really?
That would be your father.
Huh?
Okay, your father would have done that. I would go right next door, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, I'm sure you have noticed your car alarm is going off, and it keeps me up at night." Okay. And clearly nobody's stealing this guy's shit.
Would you bang on the door in the middle of the night? I think I would.
No, I'd go.
I would go right at 3 a.m. and go, "Hey, your car alarm's going off."
Oh, hey, that's fair.
Someone may have tried to steal it.
I would be too lazy to get out of bed at 3 in the morning. I would do it after coffee when I'd be charged up and I'd go over there, and it would be with a tone of voice like, "Hey, dummy," like
Rickles.
Yeah. What? Hey, dummy. Hey, dummy. Do you realize, and I'm sure you do, that your alarm goes off. And at this point, if your alarm goes off, nobody, including you, clearly gives a fuck about it. No, it's not a call to action anymore. It's lost its impact.
Yes.
So just turn it off.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's probably a favor if someone steals your shitty car and puts some of the stuff in your garage in it before they leave.
Okay, let's say it keeps happening after that. What does Zuckerman do?
Call the police.
Really?
Yeah. At that point, if it's disturbing my sleep, which is hard to come by.
Let's say the police, like in LA, don't come. They don't take your call. Then what do? How would you handle this like my dad would have handled it?
Oh, then you go and you stab the tires. You slash the tires. And maybe your dad would probably have peed on the door handle and maybe done something worse.
You could arrange for the car to be taken.
Did your dad know people like that?
He would say that he did, but I'm saying you.
Well, the car could be stolen. Clearly, nobody's coming to look. And when the alarm goes off, it would be easy to steal.
That might be the way to do it. We get some of these tow truck driver gangs from Canada to come down and handle it.
You could also just tear out the wires to the alarm, pop the hood at night because no one's coming outside. You know how to do that?
What if we were to play with fireworks in the street and somehow one of the fireworks flew in through the window of that car, just lit it on fire?
I like those Instagram, when you see the video, someone put gas in a car and then stand at the window and throw a match in there And then that open window acts like a flamethrower. Got to be careful when you torch things. You
can't play with gas.
Yeah, you got.
If there's one thing you've learned in today's show: don't ever play with gas. It goes wrong every time.
Every time.
I sent you the guy in the beach. I thought you would enjoy it more.
Yeah.
He lit himself on fire and rolled, and you didn't even comment on it.
I was so busy with some other things. I'll have to go back. We have so many things we're sending. Sometimes it's, usually it should be one and one and one and one, but sometimes you get 3 or 4 in a row.
3 or 4 good ones in a row.
And then you
but
can't
that
look
to
at them
me is
all.
like a baker's choice. You can pick one of the videos to respond to. It's whatever you like the most.
Well, what did we have? We had birds of squirrels.
That fat squirrel I sent you.
Yeah, the fat squirrel was fantastic.
He was a good squirrel. He was a good guy.
I like that guy that has the squirrel and that he talks about like which squirrel's been bad. Oh, so you who ate the couch? You know that guy?
No.
Yeah. There's the guy that the squirrel, he's got squirrel furniture and there's one good squirrel, but then a bad squirrel came and took the couch outside and trashed it.
All right, letter number 4.
Okay,
Here we
go ahead.
Dear Zuckerman, I'm hurt and angered by the shunning I'm experiencing from my family because they disapprove of my incarcerated fiancé. I'm engaged to a wonderful man who is serving a life sentence in prison.
Oh, he's wonderful. He just killed somebody. Well, some wonderful people have killed people, Ferris. Don't you know this?
We have been writing and talking via phone for more than 2 years. We recently had our first visit and love each other very much. In fact, I just moved to his estate so I can visit every month to be close to his family and him. My family has now blocked me and said they want nothing more to do with me. Zuckerman, is there anything I can do to reconnect with my family?
I think you made your decision. You've got a new family, and they sound like a wonderful family. You've got a guy serving a life sentence. He's your family now. His family, and usually the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yes.
They're your family now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a choice.
You made a choice.
You made a choice.
Yes.
And your family, rightfully so, rejects that choice. They don't want to have as their brother-in-law a guy.
You read about this a lot.
And doesn't she
guys in prison and women writing letters, and it's an opportunity, and suddenly there's a relationship there. But the life sentence is the deal breaker, I think, right?
And the guy in prison, I'm sure he's charming. He's got nothing to do but write letters to you and tell you how much
he's the most charming guy you've ever met.
He's got
nothing.
He's got no incentive other than to be charming to you.
Yes.
He needs you to put that money on his books, and I bet you're putting money on his books every month.
The women in our life probably would love to put us in prison, so we acted that way.
Yeah.
Because that guy's going to really be the best listener. He's going to be right on. He's going to be so on top of his game because he has to. Because he knows the prison is the big negative. Imagine what he has to overcome.
Right.
We could probably learn a lot by how guys in prison, life sentences, speak to their wives and girlfriends.
We should get some of these letters. Can anybody send us prison love letters?
I guarantee you they're beautiful and romantic, and
they come with art on them. They get someone, and because he needs to get,
he needs
his cup of noodles, his pickles, his Doritos.
I bet. See, this guy should write a book for men on how to treat their wives and girlfriends, how to behave.
You mean manipulation?
No, how to behave.
How to manipulate.
Wives don't care. My wife wouldn't care if I'm saying, she doesn't care. She just wants me to do it right.
You know how many letters he must have written to finally find
to lock
this
one in?
To lock one in.
Yeah.
How did she meet him? How did it come about? Was she looking at one of those Instagrams where the prison guys are talking about how great they are?
Yeah.
I like the great outdoors. You do. You're locked up.
For life.
You like going to the movies? You do? Where do you go to the movies?
Anyway.
You're going to the multiplex? You're going to the Cinerama Dome?
They have conjugal visits. Do they have Netflix visits? Do they have things like that where you can come and like have a date?
There can be a conjugal visit, and I have heard of the wife being killed on the conjugal visit.
Well, let's end right there. That's a nice story.
It's called a happy ending.
Anyway, congratulations to you, Zuckerman. Your firm celebrated its 30th anniversary.
It's unbelievable.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
If you've been injured, we're going to put a nice little lower third up there to celebrate.
Let's do that.
It'll be on the show.
Good.
You already have listeners who call you with problems that you resolve, and Amazing. Here's to 30 years more, my friend.
I would do with 30 more years. I got the energy.
You got the energy.
And I like it.
And I want to thank my friends at Santa Cruz Bikes. Seb, who's a listener, Porsche guy. They're the Porsche of mountain bikes. My son got his cast off, and they said, we want you on a stationary bike. Don't get on a real bike because we don't want you pushing too hard until that bone is fully healed. I said, I've got these Santa Cruz bikes with pedal assist. They go, that's perfect. Got him up and running.
Is his leg withered?
Just a little. You know these kids.
It'll unwither quickly.
You and I would not walk in a year after this leg break. He's already up running around. But the Santa Cruz bikes, we did them for a week. We did bike rides through the neighborhood, pushing up the hill. It's just enough. And the tendons and the muscles and stuff, just boom, just like that. That makes me love the brand. Again, he'll be flying through the air on these bikes in a second.
Let's get a GoFundMe for him. For your son and his withered leg. My son James has a withered leg.
It'd be a little unfair. He's playing tennis already, so
he has a withered leg.
No, yeah, we can't do that.
Our goal is $1 million.
No,
for his withered leg.
We're trying to do that for the people of the Palisades and Palisades High School and the rest of it. We can't take advantage of the system, so we won't do that. But anyway, that's our show.
The Withered Leg Show.
Next week, we're going to have Titus Welliver, who is the star of Bosch, which is coming back. Bosch!